Good morning. Welcome to Accuracy in America. Hope you're having a great Friday wherever you are. All right. So it's January 15th. There are 5 days until the inauguration of Joe Biden. That upsets a lot of people, but it is going to happen. And if you're in the DMV, in particular in the district, you are seeing a massive, uh, really fortressizing, maybe. It's just amazing the level of security that is going on right now in the nation's capital with the fencing and some of I guess the chicken wire and other things that they're doing all kinds of things to prevent people from scaling fences. Now, I have heard nothing from local sources about any demonstrations planned that day. I think after last week's unfortunate how the pro-Trump rally turned out on Capitol Hill, I just have a feeling that there are going to be a lot of people who would prefer to stay away, and the last thing that they don't really see the need to protest a Biden inauguration at this point. What good does it really do? They made their point last week loud and clear. Sometimes not the way that it would have been advisable to do so, but it is what it is, right? So moving forward, theoretically at least, it didn't even before all of these things happened, this inauguration was going to be a rather muted affair because of the spiking numbers of COVID cases and everything else. When you've got the cold weather and all these other things we've seen, generally these things, were bound to increase. We knew they were going to increase. And for the sake of everyone's safety, it would be best not to gather in large groups. And that's what the inauguration would have been a massively large group of people, whether or not it would have been outside to listen to Biden and Harris's speeches, excuse me, or to watch them being sworn in, or the parade, all the things that are basically, a lot of these things that are going to be really condensed in an inaugural balls. I don't know that if there are any that are actually going to take place as a result of all of this. So, very different kind of a thing. If for Joe Biden, who has aspired to this for probably nearly 50 years, this is not really the way that he would have preferred to come in, but it is, and this is the way he will be coming into office. Now, we are looking at the prospect of an impeachment trial in the Senate. The House did their thing. Second impeachment of President Trump, first president ever be impeached twice, first president to be impeached twice for spurious and charges where you just know that the Democrats are playing pure politics on this regard, and this had nothing to do with any actual facts or figures or whatever. But it is done because they control the House. They got their votes. 10 Republicans joined them. I guess the Republicans that figure that they're done with Trump once and for all, and they don't need his support going forward, not knowing exactly what Trump's political future is, because this trial should have taken place. Mitch McConnell is not planning on doing anything before he turns the gavel over, in essence, to Chuck Schumer, who will be the next new Senate Majority Leader after the inauguration. After that, Joe Biden has come out and he said, look, he knows the Senate needs to do its constitutional duty, but there's a lot of important things that need to be done, namely the confirming of his cabinet appointees, plus a lot of other things, going along the way. So the problem here is that if the Senate decides to hold a trial, the trial could take weeks. Biden doesn't have that luxury. Then, if they do just go ahead and postpone the trial for a while they get some of the other business done, and then they hold the trial. But one of the questions that has come up, here is just that exactly what is going to be accomplished by going through this process of a trial and convicting President Trump. They're actually not going to get that number, because they need 2/3 in order to make this work. They've got 50. They may get a few people like Lisa Murkowski or Susan Collins and Mitt Romney, who are the usual suspects. But beyond that, it's going to be pretty hard to see them getting another 14 senators to join them to actually prosecute and convict President Trump. So this would be yet another show trial, by the Democrats without any substantive thing being done. In the meantime, lots of man hours and will be wasted on this affair. For a man who is out of office, apparently there is, the real, key here is that they were hoping that they could get enough people on board to bar him from ever holding public office again. Whether or not they actually get there will be another question. But, does the Senate really need this? Does Joe Biden, as a new president, need to have the impeachment process of Donald Trump hanging over his head as he takes office? He's trying to get, vaccines rolled out. He unveiled a $1.9 trillion relief package, which would mean another $1,400 per person, direct aid to people and stimulus checks, increasing the unemployment bonus from 300 to 400, making that, I think it will go until September. He wants to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Not really quite sure what the $15 minimum wage does, what the purpose of this does in the midst of a pandemic, right? First of all, there are a lot of people already making that, okay, to begin with. There are a lot of people already making those kind of wages because of COVID. A lot of employers like Walmart and Target have been boosting wages, and Amazon, so they're close to that level, if not at or above those levels. The thing is that you would impose a cost upon businesses who are already reeling and closing. Yeah, this is exactly what they need. This is like raising taxes, Joe Biden, which is also part of his overall plans for his first 4 years, is just stick it to the rich, stick it to the businesses, and then see what happens there. But here we have an economy that is, that's been trying to recover, but the recent lockdowns because of COVID spikes, and I think we can see the unnecessary lockdowns. Governor Cuomo has relented and has allowed some restaurants to reopen, particularly in upstate New York. That seems to be at least a halfway reasonable solution, is that if COVID spikes are not occurring in a specific area, then those areas should be allowed to do business as normal until something can be proved otherwise. But what we have is a bunch of politicians on both sides, but mostly liberals, that have shut down businesses, have put all these restrictions on there, no in-person dining and just the curbside pickup, limitation of how many people can be in a store. It's just, we don't need to relive this. The businesses have had a real tough time. There's going to be some more relief. But, one of the things that, with the Georgia runoff, the victories in the Senate for the Democrats is that they get the spigot. They had it, they had it in the House, but it's always tends to be stopped by the Senate. At least Mitch McConnell was trying to keep some reasonable amounts going here and not just spend, needlessly and aimlessly. But, he won't really have much power to control it. It'll be up to people like Joe Manchin and others to stop just this incredible spending spree that the Democrats plan on doing, while they also tax at the same time. So this economy could be in some trouble going forward if, the Democrats go unchecked. But that's what the voters voted for at this point in time. Maybe their personality conflicts with Donald Trump drove them to the polls, and wound up giving Joe Biden the election victory. But what they're going to get is a lot of other things. Maybe you'll get some money in your pocket from the stimulus, but on the other hand, you may not have a job longer term because they want to push up wages and other expenses and force businesses to close. So therefore, getting a little bit of money here and there does not do any good. Plus, the money is for everybody and not targeted at those that need it the most. Okay, look, I'll take the money. It'll help me balance my budget a lot better, but it's not something that I absolutely positively need. I'm fortunately not living paycheck to paycheck at the moment. I understand those that do, but and those are the people that need it more than I do, and more than a lot of Americans do. But it's kind of the one size fits all strategy, right? And so a lot of the money will wind up going into savings accounts and not being spent, which is one of the things that the government wants them to do, is to spend the money. There was a left-wing BLM activist, John Earl Sullivan, has been arrested, I guess mainly for trespassing charges, because he did enter the Capitol building during the riots. He said that he was there to document this whole event, but he did enter the Capitol building through a broken window, he said. There were some reports, and without direct evidence, I'm not going to say that there is any verification that he may have egged some of the rioters on. I don't know. That is right now, that's hearsay, but he's been arrested for being there, for being on the property illegally. There were quite a number of people. I'm glad the arrests are taking place. it is good. That is what we have to have as law and order. We can't have people on any side of the fence, basically doing this kind of, irrational, stupid behavior, dangerous behavior too, right? We lost Capitol Hill police officer was killed, and one of the rioters, one of the people who breached the building was also shot and killed. Those things were needless. At that, this just did not need to happen at all. Now there's a QAnon supporter of Trump who's looking to get a pardon from Trump for his role in this. Okay, sorry, no. You run as far away from the QAnon people as you can. Just get away from that. And President Trump, I mean, it would be thumbing his nose at the establishment, for if he did that, but it would be absolutely ridiculous for him to do so. I think he's got bigger things to worry about right now than some QAnon, loony out there looking for a pardon for taking part in the madness of breaching the Capitol Hill, breaching the Capitol building. So anyway, all right. So then we have Ben Shapiro, Daily Wire, very well known in the conservative movement. Politico has been having guest writers write their daily Politico playbook after their regular writers left. So they've had Chris Hayes, they've had people from the right and the left, but they turned it over to Ben Shapiro, and the Politico staffers went crazy. They call him a bigot and all these kind of things. But Politico, to its credit, is holding firm on that. They will continue. They're giving people on both sides of the aisle a chance to write the playbook, and this just shows this. This intolerance. I mean, Ben Shapiro, for a lot of people, is a lightning rod. He is very outspoken. He's a smart guy. He says what he says, and he gets a lot of good information out there. But it drives the left crazy. And it's one thing if you have somebody from the Washington Free Beacon, which is not as well known, but it's fine to have him as NBC's Chris Hayes, who's a big lefty. But to have Ben Shapiro, oh no, this is terrible. But they're balancing this thing out, and kudos to Politico for doing that. I mean, if you're going to do it, you might as well go for both sides. Do it like that. That's fine. I'm sorry if you've offended the sensibilities of your left-wing staff. Okay, that just kind of shows the underlying thing going on. We already knew that, but hey, it's out there. All right, and then finally, an icon of American culture, American television, Betty White. She turns 99 on Sunday. Remember that great Snickers commercial? Love it. So she's been around a long time. The golden girl is very golden. She'll be in quarantine celebrating. But happy birthday to Betty White, one of the great icons in America. Just even in her age, she's found a way to still keep a career going here and there. Just a popular figure, gets around when she can. Just wonderful person to watch on television. And so my hat's off. Happy birthday, Betty White. May you live to be at least 100. So hope we'll be able to say this again a year from now. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for everything. Please, as always, stay safe. Remember, we live in the greatest country in the world. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. God bless America. Have a wonderful weekend wherever you may be. And we'll see you on Monday with who knows what will be in the news by then. Thanks a lot, folks.